Hello. Here's a matchup in between two interesting versions of the Hulk, which is World War Hulk and the almighty Maestro Hulk. Of course, I say almighty, but I don't really know if he is the most powerful version of the Hulk. But he comes from an alternate timeline, or future timeline. I'm not really for sure which it is. Whenever the other superheroes were either killed by a nuclear war or killed by Maestro. And during that time, he took over the world too, or at least like 1/4 of it, I think. And over the years, he's absorbed more radiation and everything else from the war, so he's just become that much more powerful. World War Hulk is the newest, most badass version of the Hulk, in my opinion. And he gave everybody in the Marvel Universe a run for their money. He took over New York for a while, and then he got his ass kicked by Century, and it's a draw. But he didn't really kill anybody. He didn't really permanently take over things like Maestro did. Now, here's where things get interesting. See, Maestro's actual first appearance was in like the 90s, but the way they ended his storyline or killed him was they brought him back to ground zero whenever the Hulk was first created. And so technically his first ever appearance would have been the very first issue of Hulk whenever you consider the time paradox, which I find that interesting because allegedly every time that Hulk goes back to that place, ground zero, he becomes a little bit more Maestro-like. And I think that's interesting because if he's going to fight Maestro again, we got to keep in mind that Hulk has fought Maestro before. And the fact that, he's absorbed a little bit of Maestro over the years. And I think that would be an interesting concept to see how that would play out in the fight. But you got to think Maestro, too, has actually taken over stuff. He's actually been successful. And he knows all of World War Hulk's tricks. He might be a little bit more powerful too because he's absorbed more radiation, and sure, World War Hulk may be more angry than he's ever been before, but Maestro can get angry right back. So that would be I think it would be an all-out clash that would probably devastate whichever area they're in, maybe even the whole planet. I think that Maestro might win this one just for the fact that he's absorbed more radiation. He can get more angry, but it could go either way on this one. Just depends on however the writer wants to do it. But I could actually see Maestro coming out on top. Leave your comments or questions. Of course, questions can just be answered by Google. But leave whatever, and have a nice day.